Okay, so we're live on YouTube. It's Sunday. Okay, great, excellent. Good. So we're on YouTube. How are you doing? Welcome, Sister Rosie. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. So the clinic, I have to mute everyone. Okay, so sharing my screen. So the clinic, I have to mute everyone. Okay, so we're gonna begin. Let's see. So according to the World Health Organization, mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities, how to cope with stress, and how to really be a productive member of the community. So mental health includes, can you mute yourself if you're not speaking? Mental health includes emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It can affect the way we think, the way we act, and it's also determined by how we handle stress and how we make all of our health choices. Somebody is speaking. I'm hearing some voice in the background.
It's the backbeat from YouTube. If you have YouTube,
But not from YouTube? Okay, no problem. Okay, so let me stop that. Give me 1 minute. I'm gonna stop that. It is annoying me.
It's the backbeat from YouTube. If you have YouTube,
But not from YouTube. Okay. Okay, that's been taken care of. So let's continue. Let's see, I think this is the one I was showing. Let me make sure I have the right one. Safari. Good. Let me do this stuff. No, that's not the one. Okay, this is it. Okay, so we just do it this way. We do the definition of mental health, and then we're gonna go into, so today we're talking about how the mental health is affected by Mediterranean diet, the effect of your diet on your mental health. So we're gonna start with a little bit of definition of what mental health is and different kind of category that has to do with mental illness. So mental health, it's among the most common condition in the United States. I know there's a large stigma, a big stigma around it, but it's very, very common. More than 50% will be diagnosed with mental illness or disorder at some point in their lifetime. That's a big number. So 1 in 5 Americans will experience mental health illness in a given year. 1 in 5 children, either currently or at some point in their life, we have a seriously debilitating mental illness. 1 in 25 Americans with a serious mental health condition will be with a serious mental health condition such as schizophrenia, bipolar, or even major depression. Okay, so let's move on. So there's really no single cause for mental illness. A number of factors can contribute to our mental health or even having mental illness. So some of these factors are as listed already. Early adverse life experiences such as adverse life experience like trauma, history of abuse, child abuse, sexual assault, or even witnessing the violence that could exacerbate mental health or mental illness, I should say, experiences related to others, ongoing chronic mental health condition, diabetes or cancer, biological factor of chemical imbalance of the brain, use of alcohol or drugs, some illicit drugs, having the feeling of loneliness or even the feeling of isolation. So the most common type of mental illness as categorized below: anxiety disorder, mood disorder, and schizophrenia disorder. And according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of Nigeria, anxiety disorder are the most common type of mental illness. I know Some of us have been anxious at one point or the other, but when you have anxiety disorder, it's to a point where it's debilitating, it prevents you from doing what you need to do. So generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, phobias, obsessive compulsive disorder, or post-traumatic stress disorder. Those are examples of anxiety disorder. So these are some of the signs of the general anxiety disorder: restlessness, fatigue, tense muscle, interrupted sleep. So people with panic disorder experience regular panic attack, which involves sudden, overwhelmingly terror or sense of imminent disaster or death. You know, it's not something that they can shake off, like get out of it. You know, they just find themselves in that state that they can't really get out of that state by themselves. So these are the different kind of phobias: simple phobia, social phobia, which has to do with also known as social anxiety, or agoraphobia, which is having fear in a situation in which getting away may be difficult, such as if you're like in a small environment, in an elevator or a moving train. So this also talks about OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. In other words, they experience constant stressful thought and a powerful urge to perform repetitive activity. For example, washing your hands. And people that have that obsession, they just keep washing their hands. I mean, washing your hands is good, but when it's excessive, is a different ball game. So PTSD can occur after a person has experienced or witnessed a deeply stressful or traumatic experience. Most of us are familiar with this. It's related to sometimes when the military personnel, they experience different kind of war, death, all kind of crazy situations, scary. They come back to regular life, so to say, and they still feel that trauma that happened when they experienced that traumatic event. So post-traumatic stress disorder. So this is talk about the mood disorder. We have major depression, bipolar disorder, seasonal affective disorder, and so on. So for the major depression, the individual, they experience constantly low mood and they lose interest in the things around them, prolonged level of sadness and extreme sadness. And bipolar relates to experiencing unusually mood swing energy, level of energy constantly fluctuates, period of high moods and low moods, period of manic phases, and while depressive phases bring in low moods. So I'm gonna go, this talking about the schizophrenia. I'm gonna go to the next one. So there are no physical tests or scan that reliably indicates whether a person has developmental illness. There's, however, people should look out for the following as possible signs of mental health disorder. So we can look out for each other. You know, you find somebody or yourself withdrawing from friends, from family, from colleagues, avoiding activities that they would normally enjoy. You sleep too much or you sleep too little, feeling of hopelessness, having constantly low energy, using mood altering substances such as alcohol or nicotine, because sometimes those things are being used to mask other things that are going on. So it's important to be mindful of your body and see what is going on with your body or people around you. Displaying negative emotions, being confused, being unable to complete daily tasks such as getting to work or cooking a meal, things you normally do, having persistent thoughts of memories that reappear regularly, thinking of causing physical harm to themselves or others, experiencing delusion. So, I mean, mental health is real. It's not something that is just in somebody's mind. It's something that is real. There are various methods of managing mental health problem. Treatment is highly individualized, and whatever works for one person may not work for another person. So it's important at times, you know, when you're going through to get help, sometimes you require therapy, sometimes it involves medication. But the most important thing is do not feel isolated. Do not go through it by yourself. You should get help. So, okay, I said this already. Some people will be on medication to be able to support them, especially people that have maybe chemical imbalance. So some of this medication work by boosting the body's absorption of feel-good chemicals such as serotonin from the brain. Other drugs either boost the overall level of this chemical or prevent their degradation or their destruction. So it's really important before you say no to medication, you understand how does this medication work? What are the side effects? Just like if you have diabetes and you can't control your diabetes or your numbers through diet alone and you're placed on medication. So it's important to understand how those medication works on your body, what are the possible side effects and the benefit of the medication. So a person coping with mental health difficulty will usually need to make changes in their lifestyle to facilitate wellness. Such changes might include reducing alcohol intake, sleeping more, being mindful of your triggers, eating a balanced nutritious diet. So that's one of the things I would like to focus on in how what you eat, determine who you are, determine how you behave. We already know our food, our intake affects our physiological body, as in if you have diabetes, what you eat can determine whether your blood sugar is high or whether your blood sugar is low. So also science and research has proven how people may need to take time away from work or sometimes issues or with personal relationship that may be causing damage to their mental health, and how diet can affect your mental state. So people with conditions such as anxiety and depressive disorder may benefit from relaxation technique, which include deep breathing, meditation, and mindfulness. I know we spoke about mindfulness on this platform already. We all understand the importance of deep breathing and meditation. It's also something maybe in the nearest future we're going to talk a little bit more. So having a support network is also very important. Having family members, friends that you're accountable to that can support you during the recovery process. Okay, self-help is also a form of treatment for managing mental health problem. Includes eating a balanced diet. So imagine evidence suggests that Mediterranean diet may be beneficial for improving depression and mental health. Omega-3 fatty acids are highly concentrated in the brain, and previous research has suggested that they may play a role in maintaining and improving mental health and stability. So we're going to talk a little bit about Mediterranean diet. What does it include? What does it mean? This diet is based on the traditional food that's eaten by people around the Mediterranean Sea, including France, Spain, Greek, and Italy. So it includes eating a lot of plenty of fruits, vegetable, nuts, plant-based diet, fish. And we're going to talk about the kind of fish that actually fall into this category. So that's really important. And so it's also in the current research, it talks about how it actually drastically reduces the ability of you to, the possibility of you developing mental health problem. So a diet that's high in saturated fat, sugar, and processed food, they are correspondingly associated with the likelihood of depression. So even though added sugar, processed sugar feels good when you have it, but it has a negative effect, not just on your physical body, physiological state, it actually affects your mental health on the long run. So it's important to have a balanced diet. So if you guys want to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot of this page talking about the different diets you should have. You can see at the base of the pyramid, you know, it's the amount of fruit and vegetable that should be in your diet, a lot. I know this is one of the things we grew up with, being told to eat balanced diet. So it's something we have to all revisit, even in this day and age that everyone is on the run. Fast food is common, you know, so let's take a minute to take care of our body. Because if not, if you don't take care of your body now, you eventually will be forced to take care of your body. So your body is gonna stop working effectively for you, and then you're gonna have to stop. Whether it's gonna cost you money, or it's gonna cost you time, it's gonna cost you something because you didn't do the right thing. So let's dig a little bit deep. So Mediterranean diet has been linked to a long list of health benefits. It promotes heart health, support healthy blood sugar level, and promotes brain function. Those sound like three good things that we all want. So if you're on this platform and you think you want that, then just give me some thumbs up. Like, you know what? I want my heart to be healthy. I want to maintain my blood sugar. Even if you don't have history of high blood sugar, it's good to have a balanced blood sugar level at all time, because we know if your blood sugar is level, is good for your kidney, is good for all of the organs of your body. Yes, Jatia, thumbs up. You want to have all these three elements working in you. So we spoke about this already. Let me just talk about a study that compares the effects of Mediterranean diet and the low-fat diet, and reported that the Mediterranean diet was more effective at slowing the progression of plaque buildup in the arteries. And these are some of the things that cause heart disease, because the artery, as you guys know, is just like a little pipe where the blood goes back and forth. And now if it's blocked up with plaque, then it affects the flow, and that's going to affect how hard your heart is working and what happens to your blood vessel. And that can lead to all kind of this disease, and we can't get into that right now. So other research also shows that Mediterranean diet could also help lower levels of diastolic and systolic blood pressure to support heart health. So I guess we can't even talk too much about that. It also helps to regulate, to decrease insulin resistance. For insulin resistance is one of the reasons why people have a type of diabetes, because their body become resistant to the insulin that is being produced. The insulin is being produced, but it's not effective, but the body has grown resistant to it, but for whatever reason. So it's known that this kind of diet helps to decrease that. So that is really a good thing. And I said that already, it stabilizes your blood sugar level and protects against type 2 diabetes. That is really fantastic. So we spoke about how it also helps. We said it helps the brain function. So diseases like dementia and Alzheimer's disease, it sort of lowers that risk, because all those are connected to the brain. So this diet is tremendously beneficial to our brain health. Because one thing is sure, that if we stay on this side of the earth and we don't get called or die, we're going to grow old. And one of the things that are associated with old age, we know already, is Alzheimer's and dementia. And having this diet in place will help us tremendously. So we're going to look at some of the things we should eat, and some of the things we should eat in moderation, and some that we should really try to stay away from. A lot of vegetables and fruits, nuts, seeds, legumes, potato, whole grain, herbs, spices, seafood, and extra virginal. Those are things that should be included in a diet. In moderation, eggs, poultry, cheese, and yogurt. And anything that is added sugar, we want to stay away from it. We want to stay away from things that are colored, white sugar, refined grain. We want to stay away from it. If you want to eat rice, you want to try brown rice, more than, you don't want to include things like white rice in your meal if it's humanly possible. And if you have to eat it, very, very minimal. So this just gives you more example. With our vegetables, you guys know, the more colorful they are, the better they are, right? So this is an example of vegetables we can eat. Tomatoes, broccoli, kale, spinach, onions, cauliflower, carrot, Brussels sprout, cucumber, potato, and sweet potato. I love sweet potato. I can eat it all day, all night, and we have the different fruits as stated there: apples, bananas, oranges, pears, strawberries, grapes, dates, figs, melon, and peaches. And the nuts as listed, the legumes, beans, peas, lentil, peanut, and chickpeas. And whole grain, of course, our oats, they're very good. Our brown rice, barley, whole wheat flour, and pasta. So you don't want to eat anything as much as possible. You want to reduce processed food from your diet. So just looking at seafood, different kind of seafood, the one that are really rich in omega-3, very, very beneficial: salmon, sardines, tuna, shrimp, clam, crab, and so on. Poultry, chicken, duck, and turkey, eggs, chicken, duck eggs, and then dairy food. You want to, is in moderation: cheese, yogurt, and milk. And we have all our herbs and spices that we can use to cook while reducing salt: garlic, basil, mint, rosemary, cinnamon, and pepper. And a healthy fatty acid, avocado oil, and extra virgin oil. So I sort of said this already, but I'm gonna highlight it again. You should limit this processed food and ingredients when following the Mediterranean diet. These are the things you need to limit. Fast food, you can eat it once in a while, but try to stay away from fast food because it's highly filled with, it's highly processed food, convenient meal, microwave popcorn, granola bars. I used to think granola bars are very, very good, but you want to look at the ingredients. One of the things that I want to encourage you guys to learn is reading your food labels. Very, very important, because some food labels will indicate this is 2 servings, this is 3 servings. You might think it's small, it's not a lot, but it might be 4 servings that you're eating in one go. So you want to look at the number of servings, you want to look at the percentage of the processed food and the trans fat that is in that thing you're consuming. You want to be an informed consumer. Anything you put in this body, you want to make sure as much as possible that you know what is the label. Every time I'll say 8 out of 10 that I have to eat something for the first time, I always look at the labels and try to look at certain things to make sure, okay, how much sugar is added, how much calories is this, how much serving is this, because you might want to drink 6 ounces of a drink, but if that particular bottle, which is 24 ounces, is like 6 servings, and each one is 32 grams of sugar, and you drink one, or you finish the whole bottle, now we're talking about 32 times 4, So you want to think like that. Once you start looking at it like that, then it changes how many you consume. And little by little, you can totally change your diet. It's not really a good practice to say, you know what, I'm going to stop eating all of this totally. Some people are more disciplined, they can do it, but most people cannot do that. Most people will have to reduce the quantity that they eat gradually, and little by little they'll eliminate. For example, if you normally use 2 tablespoons of sugar or 4 to drink your tea or your coffee, you might want to reduce it to 1.5, then to 1, then to half, until your taste buds is used to no sugar. And you're like, oh, I can do it without sugar, and I can just drink my coffee black or drink my coffee with milk, without sugar. So we can all start with baby steps. So anything with added sugar, syrup, baked goods, ice cream, candies, white bread, pasta, chips, crackers, I know it's a lot. So you want to just reduce it, and then eventually the goal will be as much as possible to eliminate it, because they're just not benefit to our body. And if they're not benefit, then they're like, lack of another way to put in, the little kind of poison that we put a little at a time, and then they start creating big problems years to come when we are like in our 50s, our 60s, all those things start creeping up that we've been eating all of our life. Processed meat, processed sausages, hot dogs, deli meat, we want to be mindful of that. And I spoke a lot about fast food already. So I'm going to just leave this for a minute and let it sink in, and let's take a look at it. And the next time you want to grab a new bag of chips, a new bag of something new in the store, you want to take a look at the label. Pay attention to the serving size, and then pay attention to the percentages of the different ingredients in it. Okay, so I put an example of a meal for a week that we can use in the Mediterranean diet. You know, it doesn't have to be this, of course, but this will give you ideas of how it's actually possible to have a good meal. And, you know, and once in a while you can break it and introduce something that give yourself a break. But, you know, most of our meals should be something healthy. We have to be intentional. Breakfast, Greek yogurt, strawberry, you know, a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetable, and reduction of things that processed food. So this is basically the whole idea of what I want to share with you today. What you have, what you eat, you know, whether it's physically what you put in your mouth or mentally what you allow your mind space, all those things affect who you are. And this is something we have to fight for. We have to fight for our well-being. And for those of us that have maybe young children in our lives, you know, we may not have been effective, we may not have effectively done it with our children because they're older now. But if you have grandchildren or maybe children that you influence because you're a teacher, this might be an opportunity to start introducing healthy lifestyle to them. And I'll give you an example. When I was a school nurse, and I remember we had a program where for the pre-K and the first group, pre-K and kindergarten, we had a program for them where we can introduce them to healthy eating. It's actually for the entire school, but there was a special curriculum that was created for the younger kids. And when I discovered this in our archives, you know, just going through the website, I was so excited. So I started to use it, and it sort of brings down the terminology of healthy eating to their level. I taught them how to read food labels. I taught them the importance of what they put in their mouth. I taught the young kids that, I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to drink soda, but instead of drinking Mountain Dew, why don't you consider Sprite? Or a big bottle of 20-ounce Mountain Dew, at that time, if I remember, it has about 78 or so grams of sugar compared to if you drink Sprite, a small can that has 30 something, you know. So with time, they became informed consumer. When their teacher, I remember, is interested that their teacher put up an apple, when their teacher would ask them and say, oh, okay, we have cookie for snack. You know, the way they give them cookie in the middle of the day for snack, the kids start telling the teacher, no, give us apple. We don't want cookie, we want apple. I would walk into the cafeteria and you see all the kids, you know, in the old cafeteria hiding their bottles of soda, and they were like telling each other, no, Sherry, look at her, she has a bottle of soda, she has soda. You know, I mean, I was like really, really happy about that in the sense that there was a movement, a conscious awareness of how what they were eating was affecting. Even if they don't 100% change around and stop drinking soda, the fact is they are aware. Maybe instead of drinking 2 bottles or 2 cans, they'll be drinking 1, and they will be mindful of that. And they can in turn influence their parents, you know, and say, Mommy, no, don't, let's get this, let's get this. So that's all I have for you this evening. If you have any question, any comments, you can speak, and I'll let Dr. Cronin, after your question, she can give. I know she did an excellent overview last week. And thank you, you know, for holding it down for the past 2 weeks. Let's give Dr. Cronin a round of applause for just really holding it down. I truly appreciate that, you know. So question, comment, and then if Dr. Cronin has any updates, we can take it in that order.
That was excellent, Sherry.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the soda, because the soda has a lot of sugar and it's very unhealthy. So that's good, starting with the young people, you know, and they could influence their parents and grandparents.
Absolutely.
Okay.
My friend was the head of a dialysis unit, and she said that soda is what's causing people to have kidney problems. I mean, when she told me that a long time ago, I couldn't believe it. Then what is your opinion?
I mean, it's related because if your blood sugar is not well managed, if you have diabetes, and unmanaged diabetes is gonna affect your kidney, and eventually, yes, the kidney can shut down. Yes, that's the progression. It's all related. So whatever you eat end up in your bloodstream, and the affect, and everything gets filtered through the kidney. Absolutely. That's something Jachia says, I haven't tried it personally, but I heard Tribe Market is a good online healthy grocery store that delivers for those who live in neighborhood without healthy options in store. That's fantastic. I'm glad you brought that out. One thing I found out in a Black and brown community is a lot of them are like desert, how do you call it, Dr. Cody? Desert island, the desert food, something like
Food desert.
food desert. Like there's really no healthy food. All you have around you is a bodega, the snacks, all those things, the fast food, the McDonald's. You know, when we live in far away, around us on the other side of our house, we had the McDonald's, we had what's the other store that the Sunday helped me? We had no, it was not taco. White Castle at one point, and
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Kentucky Fried Chicken was there. You know, it was like really a lot of unhealthy food around. If you wanted healthy food, you have to be intentional, you know, and things like that. So, but one of the things I taught my kids is people are like, oh, you live so close to McDonald's. They must live on McDonald's. I said, no, home cooked food. No. They'll get McDonald's once in a while, but home cooked food. But they actually don't like McDonald's because I was trying to be intentional in making sure that it's not something they had all the time. Once in a while for special treats, but not for breakfast or lunch or every time. So it's really important to do that. Yeah.
Sherry?
Yeah.
Sherry, once we had the church picnic, and I'll never forget it. You told one of your daughters, you said, throw away the bun. I said, boy, you smart. You know, the bun, you know, the hamburger bun, which is junk. It's junk, you know. But
yeah.
I said, boy, your kids must be healthy, you know.
Yeah. And even in eating the healthy food, Sister Grace put something, texted something to me privately, like, you know, yogurt, you know, is good, but you have to still look at the label at your yogurt and see how many sugar is in it. Because a lot of the yogurt have extra things added to it. So I try to get the yogurt that has nothing added to it, so that way I know I'm eating something healthy. So you want to look at it. I think the bottom line is just reading the food labels and being aware of what you're consuming. And if you still decide to eat it, at least you know what you're eating, you know? Yeah.
Also, Sherry, Dr. Sherry, good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening. How you doing?
Thank you very much. I couldn't have presented this better. And as a clinician yourself, to see another clinician that is taking account about nutrition, that makes our feel much better. Because when you tell someone that you are a nutritionist or diet, oh, you're going to put me on a diet, they don't understand that the thing about eating is about eating right, consciously trying to eat the best as you can to help your body to ward off all the diseases that are out there. We know there are diseases that are out there, and we don't want to have any inflammation. When we don't eat well, we kind of like push the inflammation. And even though we were to have medication, or we end up having surgery, which is like a pain, something that is stressful in itself, we don't want to go there. If it is that we have to go, we have to go. But what I would like to say is that I thank you very much. And in regards to the, I forgot my thought. In regards to the community, I always dream of having in our area, a farmer's market, because we have to go. I've seen so many farmers market. Right now, they just did one. We have one in Lawrenton by the Long Island Railroad. And that's good. There's one in Long Island, and you have to go to Jamaica. I think they used to have it there prior to COVID. And so That would be nice because as you stated, there's a McDonald's there. The kids run to McDonald's and they go to the store. They come out with a brown paper bag, even though they have food at home, but they think it's cool to go drink some blue drink. And that purple drink also affects their brain function because it's full of sugar and additives, and they cannot concentrate. I have to say that they are not able to concentrate. That's another thing. As it stated that eating a Mediterranean diet, it helps with brain function and development and whatnot. But again, it affects your skin. As a teenager, they have their self-esteem in their appearance and such and such. So eating properly also affects your skin as well. If you are putting products in your face, what goes inside is very important because you can tell it will radiate. That's another thing. Drinking water is good. And everything that I just want to say that you have stated, that you have summarized, I really give you big thanks because it makes me so happy to see that people are listening, especially right now because of COVID. And Dr. Cooney has said it last time. It is our responsibility wearing the mask right now. But again, it is all our responsibility to eat properly because the body is resilient. And if we take care of it, it will take care of us. And we don't eat to live. No, we eat to live, not to live to eat. There's a saying of that. So we'll go ahead and do the best as we can of what the Lord gives us. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for that word of confidence. Thank you for that.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
She's a licensed dietitian coming from thank you.
Yes.
So I think we have a lot to take home, a lot to think about. I don't want it to be just another webinar or seminar that we learn and we forget about until something happened and we're like, oh my God, I remember. Oh, they spoke about it at Reloom. I wish I did something. So one of the ways we can reinforce this learning is to actually share it with somebody. Share the information, your take-home message, share it with somebody. Have a conversation about it, and that will remind you what you have, what you're taking on with you, and what you feel like, oh, I forgot that. Oh, let me go back and review. Let me go back. Let me ask somebody, to make it a part of you. If you don't remember anything, just remember what you eat determines your mental state. It can improve your mental state. And what you eat can improve your vulnerability to infection, to getting sick and your ability to get well, so just remember all of that. And God has given us so many herbs to actually heal us in our body, so let's be mindful of that. So that's all I have for you today. If there are no more questions, I'm going to see if Dr. Coney has any overview she wants to give. But I'll say this before she comes on, it's important. Let's continue to wear a mask. I know masks is very, very optional. Even on the train, people are not really wearing their mask anymore, but the numbers are not like in medium. I don't know if they're high. I didn't check today.
It's still high.
It's still high? Okay, they're still in high.
Today it's still high.
It's still high. So let's be really mindful of what we do and keep ourselves safe, And if you haven't get your second booster, please go get it. It's still a thing. Okay, Dr. Coney, over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the COVID alert level today is still high. Although, last week we talked about the level being at a plateau. So that seems to be where we are now, at a plateau. So it's the same for the last 3 weeks at a high level. So this means that you should continue to wear your mask, that you should continue to wash your hands, watch your distance, especially wear your mask when you're indoors or in a setting where you don't know the people around you, even if you're outdoors and you're close together and you don't know the vaccination status of the people around you. So still continue to take your precautions, use your wisdom, watch the situation that you're in, the circumstance that you're in. regardless of what they say about, mandates and wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, make your own personal decision, your own personal choice based on the data and the information that we have. So we know that the levels are still high, that there's still a lot of transmission of COVID around. So take that into consideration. Wear your high quality KN95, N95, N94 mask, okay? And as Sherry said, get your booster. If you haven't gotten your second booster and it's time for you to get it, go ahead and get your booster. Okay, so personal responsibility, as Michelle said, personal responsibility. That's where we are now. We can't rely on external forces like the government, et cetera, telling us what we should do and where we are, because there's too much confusion around it. So just personal responsibility. We've taught you on this platform how to find the information, how to locate the information, okay, and we've given you the tools. So now, as we had in our message yesterday, take those tools and put them into action. Okay, this is the point that we're at. Action, action. So you have the tools, you have the information, you have the data. Now just put everything into action. So those are my words for this evening.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna post the link for the YouTube for this event on the chat in a minute. So in case you came in late and you want to review everything or you want to share with somebody, so feel free. And it's in the chat, so you can just copy it before you leave the room. Okay, welcome, Miss Leslie. I know you came in a little late. I'll send the link to you. You can look at it. Did she leave? Where is she? Leslie, are you there? I thought I saw her coming in. Okay, no problem. Okay, have a good night, everyone. Any comments, any questions? You good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Take
Good
care.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Thank you for
Good
inviting me.
night.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good
Thank you, Sherry.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye, Sister Vina.
Good night.
Good night, Mario. Right, Sister Ugo, how are you?